The Draconian Empire had ruled the stars for 3,000 years. Their ships moved through space like shadows, silent and deadly. Their soldiers stood 8 feet tall, covered in scales harder than any metal humans had ever made. They had conquered 17 star systems. They had destroyed entire civilizations. They had never lost a war. When their sensors found Earth, the Draconian commanders laughed. They saw a small blue planet filled with soft creatures who killed each other over pieces of land. These humans had no shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light ships. They were primitive. They were weak. They would fall like all the others. Fleet Commander Varax did not even bother to send his full army. He sent 300 soldiers to test the planet's defenses. It would be enough. It was always enough. The dropships entered Earth's atmosphere on a cold October night. They chose the Korean Peninsula because of its dense population and because it sat between the sea and the mountains. A good place to establish a base. A good place to begin the conquest. Park Yuna was working late that night. She was a lieutenant at the National Emergency Management Agency in Seoul. Her job was to watch for disasters, earthquakes, floods, fires. She had been doing this work for 7 years. She was good at it. She was calm under pressure. At 11:47 p.m., her screen flickered. Then the reports started coming in. Strange lights in the sky over Yongsan District. Explosions near the military base. Phone lines going dead. Power outages spreading across the city. Yuna picked up her phone and called her supervisor. No answer. She called the police headquarters. No answer. She called the military emergency line. Static. Her colleague, Sergeant O. Tyke, ran to her desk. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. "Lieutenant, you need to see this," he said. He pulled up the satellite feed on her monitor. Yuna stared at the image. At first, she did not understand what she was seeing. There were shapes moving through the streets of Yongsan. They were too big to be human. They walked on 2 legs, but their bodies were wrong. Their skin reflected the light of burning cars. "What are those?" Tyke whispered. Yuna did not answer. She was watching one of the creatures lift a car and throw it through a building. She was watching another one breathe fire onto a group of people running away. "Get me Admiral Kim," she said. Her voice was steady. "Use every channel we have." "The military frequencies are jammed," Teak said. "I've been trying for 10 minutes. Something is blocking all our signals." Yuna stood up and grabbed her jacket from the back of her chair. She checked her phone one more time. No signal. The entire communication network of Seoul was dead. "Then we go ourselves," she said. "We drive to the military command center and we tell them what's happening." "Drive?" "Lieutenant, did you see what's out there?" "I saw." Yuna walked toward the door. "Are you coming or not?" Tyke hesitated for only a moment. Then he followed her. Outside, the city was falling apart. The sky glowed orange from fires burning in every direction. People ran through the streets, screaming. Cars crashed into each other as drivers tried to escape. Somewhere in the distance, Yuna heard gunfire. Then silence. Then more screaming. They took Tyke's car because it was parked closer. Yuna drove. She knew the streets of Seoul better than anyone. She knew which roads would be blocked. She knew which shortcuts to take. As they drove through the chaos, they saw more of the creatures, Draconians, though Yuna did not know their name yet. She would learn it later. For now, they were just monsters. The Draconians moved with terrible confidence. They did not hurry. They did not hide. They walked down the middle of the street and killed everything in their path. Their weapons fired bolts of green light that turned people to ash. Their claws cut through metal like paper. Yuna watched a group of police officers try to stop one of them. They fired their guns until they ran out of bullets. The Draconian did not even slow down. It killed them all in less than 10 seconds. How do we fight that? Tyke asked. His voice was barely a whisper. I don't know, Yuna admitted. But we have to try. They reached the military command center an hour later. The building was surrounded by soldiers. Tanks blocked the streets. Helicopters circled overhead. For a moment, Yuna felt hope. The military was responding. They would know what to do. But when she got inside, she found only chaos. Officers shouted at each other. Phones rang with no one to answer them. Maps covered the walls, but no one knew where the enemy was coming from or how many there were. Yuna found a general standing alone in the corner, staring at a screen showing satellite images of the invasion. Sir, she said, I'm Lieutenant Park Yuna, Emergency Management Agency. I have information about the attack. The general turned to look at her. His eyes were empty, lost. Information, he repeated. What information could matter now? Look at them. Look at what they can do. We fired everything we have at them. Missiles, artillery. Nothing works. Their armor is too strong. Their weapons are too powerful. There has to be a weakness, Yuna said. Everything has a weakness. The general shook his head. We've been trying to contact other countries. The jamming signal is too strong. We're alone, Lieutenant. Seoul is alone. And by morning, Seoul will be gone. Yuna looked at the screen. She watched the Draconians march through her city. She watched her people die. But she did not feel despair. She felt something else. Something hot and sharp in her chest. Later, she would recognize it as anger. Pure, burning anger. No, she said quietly. No, we are not going to die. Not like this. Not without a fight. The general stared at her. What can we possibly do? Yuna turned away from the screen. She looked around the command center at all the scared, confused faces. These were soldiers. These were trained fighters. They had just forgotten what they were. We learn, she said. We watch them. We study them. We find their weakness. And then we make them regret ever coming to our world. The general said nothing. But somewhere in his empty eyes, a small spark appeared. It was not much, but it was a beginning. Outside, the Draconians continued their march. They burned and killed and destroyed. They sent reports to their fleet saying that Earth would fall within days. They did not know that in a small command center in Seoul, a young woman had just decided to prove them wrong. They did not know that humanity's fight had just begun. The Draconians expected the humans to surrender by morning. On every planet they had conquered, the pattern was the same. First, the prey would fight. Then they would see how useless their weapons were. Then they would give up. The weak ones always broke. It was the law of the universe. But as the sun rose over Seoul on the second day of the invasion, something strange happened. The humans did not surrender. They kept fighting. And worse, they were learning. Corporal Shin Myra had been a combat medic for 4 years. She had trained to save lives, not to take them. But when the Draconians attacked her base in Gwangwon, she had no choice. She watched her entire squad die in less than 2 minutes. The aliens moved through them like fire through dry grass. Myra survived only because she had been in the supply room when the attack started. She heard the screams. She heard the gunfire. She heard the terrible silence that came after. When she finally crawled out of her hiding spot, the base was destroyed. Bodies lay everywhere. Her friends, her colleagues, her commander, all dead. She had 17 bullets left in her pistol. She had a field knife on her belt. She had nothing else. The smart thing to do was run. Find other survivors. get to safety. But Myra did not run. Instead, she watched. 3 Draconians walked through the burning base, checking the bodies. They moved slowly, carelessly. They did not expect any threat. Why would they? They had already won. Myra studied them carefully. She noticed how they walked. She noticed how they held their weapons. She noticed the way their armor covered their bodies. And she noticed one small detail that the aliens probably thought no one would see: their necks. The scales on their necks were smaller, thinner. There was a gap just below the jaw, where the hard armor did not reach. Myra waited until one of them walked past her hiding spot. Then she raised her pistol and fired 3 shots at that gap. The Draconian fell. Myra had never heard a sound like the one the other 2 made. It was something between a scream and a roar. Pure shock. Pure disbelief. They had never seen one of their own fall to prey before. But Myra was already moving. She ran through the smoke, firing at the second one's neck. 2 bullets missed. The third one hit. Another Draconian fell. The last one turned to face her. Its eyes burned with rage. It raised its weapon. Myra was out of bullets. She did not stop. She ran straight at the creature, pulling out her knife. The Draconian fired, but she was too close, too fast. She jumped onto its chest, grabbed the edge of its armor, and drove her knife into the soft flesh under its jaw. The alien's roar turned into a gurgle. Then silence. Myra stood in the ruins of her base, covered in alien blood, breathing hard. She had just killed 3 of them. 3 of the monsters that had destroyed her entire squad. It was possible. They could be killed. Across the city, other humans were making similar discoveries. Private First Class Big June was only 19 years old. He had been a soldier for less than a year. When the invasion started, he had been terrified. He had hidden in a basement while his unit was destroyed above him. But fear turned to curiosity when he saw a Draconian stumble. The creature had walked through a burning gas station, and something was wrong with it. It was moving slowly. Its steps were unsteady. The flames did not hurt its armor, but the heat was doing something to the creature inside. June remembered his training. Reptiles were cold-blooded. They needed external heat to regulate their body temperature. But too much heat was just as dangerous as too little. He found a flamethrower in a destroyed military truck. He waited for a group of Draconians to pass. Then he opened fire. The aliens screamed. Their armor protected them from the flames, but the heat cooked them inside their own skin. 3 of them collapsed before the others could retreat. June smiled for the first time since the invasion began. In a university laboratory on the other side of the city, Dr. Cho Yoonji was doing her own research. She was a xenobiologist. Her job was to study alien life. Until yesterday, that had been a theoretical field. Now it was very, very real. Yoonji had managed to get a piece of Draconian armor from a destroyed building. She had also captured one of their communication devices. She worked through the night, ignoring the explosions outside, ignoring her own fear. By morning, she had made 2 important discoveries. First, the Draconians communicated on a specific frequency. If she could build a device to interfere with that frequency, she could blind them. Second, their armor had a weakness. It was designed to protect against energy weapons. But simple kinetic force bullets, explosives, falling debris could damage it if applied to the right spots. Yoonji wrote down everything she learned and prepared to share it with whoever was still fighting. The Draconians noticed that something was wrong by the afternoon of the second day. They had lost 40 soldiers. 40. In 3,000 years of conquest, they had never lost more than 10 soldiers taking an entire planet. The unit commander sent a message to Fleet Commander Varax in orbit. The prey is fighting back. They are finding our weaknesses. They are adapting faster than any species we have ever seen." Varax read the message 3 times. He did not believe it. The humans were primitive. They were weak. They could not possibly be killing Draconian warriors. "Continue the attack," he ordered. "Show no mercy. Learn their cities. Break their spirit." But the humans did not break. As the second day turned into the second night, they fought harder. They shared information. They learned from each other's discoveries. A soldier in one district would find a weakness and share it with fighters in another district within hours. The Draconians had better weapons, better armor, better training, but the humans had something the Draconians had never faced before. 10,000 years of war against each other. 10,000 years of developing weapons and tactics and strategies. 10,000 years of learning how to kill. Every weapon the Draconians used, humans had invented something similar. Every tactic they tried, humans had seen before. And for every attack, humans already knew the counter. Corporal Shin Myra found other survivors that night. She taught them what she had learned. Aim for the neck. Move fast. Do not fight them head-on. Private Beekjun showed his discovery to a group of firefighters. They turned their fire trucks into weapons, spraying superheated steam at the invaders. Dr. Cho Yunji sent her research to every radio frequency she could reach. Anyone still fighting received her information. The Draconians had expected to conquer Earth in days. They had no idea that the real war had just begun. By the third day, the surface of Seoul belonged to the Draconians. Their soldiers patrolled the burning streets. Their ships flew overhead, watching for any movement. Any human who showed their face was killed immediately. But the surface was only part of the city. Beneath Seoul, there was another world. Miles and miles of subway tunnels, underground shopping centers, packing structures, basements, sewers, a hidden city that the Draconians did not know existed. Captain Ruhana had served in the Korean army for 12 years. She had fought in training exercises. She had studied military history. She had never imagined she would be fighting aliens in the subway tunnels under her own city. But here she was. Hana had gathered over 200 survivors in an abandoned station deep beneath the Han River. Soldiers, police officers, firefighters, office workers, students, grandparents, anyone who could walk, anyone who could hold a weapon, anyone who refused to die. She stood on a platform, looking at the faces around her. They were dirty. They were scared. They were exhausted. But they were alive. And they were angry. "I know what you are thinking," Hana said. Her voice echoed in the dark tunnel. "You are thinking that we cannot win. You are thinking that they are too strong, too fast, too powerful. You are thinking that we should hide and wait for rescue." She paused. No one spoke. But rescue is not coming. The Draconians have blocked all our communications. No one outside Seoul knows what is happening here. We are alone. The faces around her grew darker. Some people looked down at the ground. "But I want to tell you something," Hana continued. "Something about humans. Something about us." She stepped closer to the edge of the platform. "We have been fighting each other for 10,000 years. We have invented every weapon you can imagine. Swords, guns, bombs, poisons. We have developed tactics and strategies that would take other species millions of years to discover. We are the most dangerous predators our planet has ever produced." Her voice grew stronger. "These Draconians have conquered 17 star systems. They have destroyed civilizations that were older than human history. But they have never fought anything like us. They do not know what we are capable of. They do not know that every weapon they have, we invented something similar. They do not know that we have been preparing for war since before we could write." She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of everyone she could see. They think we are prey. They think we will break. They think they have already won. She smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Let us show them how wrong they are. The silence lasted for 3 seconds. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room erupted in cheers. A man pushed his way to the front of the crowd. His clothes were torn and covered in dust, but his eyes were sharp. His name was Nam Do-hin, and he was an electrical engineer. "I can help," he said. "The Draconians use jamming devices to block our communications. I have been studying them. I think I can modify one of their devices to work against them. Turn their jammers into beacons that reveal their positions." A woman stepped forward next. Her name was Kang Somi. She was a nurse who had been working at a hospital when the invasion started. She had watched the Draconians kill her patients. She had barely escaped with her life. "I know their weak points," she said. "I have been paying attention. I can teach everyone where to aim, how to hurt them. We do not need to be stronger than them. We just need to be smarter." One by one, people came forward. A mechanic who could turn cars into weapons. A chemistry teacher who could make explosives from cleaning supplies. A grandmother who had been a soldier 50 years ago and still remembered how to fight. Hannah watched them come. She felt something growing in her chest. Something warm and bright. These people had lost everything. Their homes. Their families. Their city. But they had not lost hope. "We start tonight," she said. "We do not attack them directly. We attack their supplies, their communications, their confidence. We make them afraid to walk our streets. We make them pay for every inch of ground they have taken." The planning began immediately. Nam Do-yoon led a team to capture Draconian technology. Kang Somi started training everyone in alien anatomy. Others began mapping the tunnel system, finding routes that connected to every part of the city. That night, the resistance struck for the first time. A Draconian supply depot exploded in Gangnam. The aliens had been storing weapons and food there. Now it was a crater. A patrol of 12 Draconians walked into a tunnel entrance near City Hall. They never walked out. The humans had collapsed the tunnel on top of them. A communication tower that the Draconians had built was destroyed by a bomb made from fertilizer and cleaning chemicals. The Draconians sent soldiers to investigate. The soldiers found only empty streets and silent buildings. The humans had already disappeared back underground. Fleet Commander Varax received the reports with growing confusion. His soldiers were dying. His supplies were being destroyed. His communications were being disrupted. And he could not find the enemy. "Where are they hiding?" he demanded. His officers had no answer. They had scanned the city from orbit. They had searched the buildings. They had patrolled the streets. But the humans appeared from nowhere, struck fast, and vanished before the Draconians could respond. "They are beneath us," one officer finally suggested. "They have tunnels, underground structures, a whole network we did not know about." Varax stared at the map of Seoul. The humans had built their city on top of another city. A hidden city. A city of shadows. "Flood the tunnels," he ordered. "Burn them out. Collapse them. Commander, if we do that, we will destroy the entire city. There will be nothing left to conquer." Varax was silent for a long moment. He had never faced a problem like this before. On other planets, the prey had surrendered by now. They had come out of their hiding places and begged for mercy. But these humans did not beg. They did not surrender. They just kept fighting. "Then we will hunt them," Varax said. "Send more soldiers into the tunnels. Find them. Kill them all." He did not know that this was exactly what Captain Ruhana wanted. The tunnels were her territory now. She knew every passage, every junction, every dead end. The Draconians would enter her domain, and they would not leave alive. 2 weeks had passed since the invasion began. The Draconian scouting force had started with 300 soldiers. Now only 87 remained. They had taken City Hall as their base. The grand building was now a fortress, surrounded by barriers and guarded by every weapon they had left. The Draconians no longer patrolled the streets. They no longer hunted humans. Now they were the ones being hunted. Fleet Commander Varax could not believe the reports. Over 200 of his soldiers dead. Killed by creatures who did not even have starships. Killed by prey. How is this possible? He demanded during his daily communication with the ground force commander. The commander's voice was tired, afraid. They do not fight like any species we have ever seen. They do not follow rules. They do not follow patterns. Every time we think we understand them, they do something new. Then burn the city from orbit. Destroy everything. If we do that, Commander, we will have failed. The Empire sent us to conquer this planet, not destroy it. If we burn it down, we return home in shame. Varax knew he was right. The Draconian Empire wanted resources, slaves, territory. A burned wasteland was worthless. Hold your position, Varax ordered. I am sending 5,000 more soldiers. A proper invasion force. We will crush these humans once and for all. But until that force arrived, the remaining Draconians had to survive. And survival was becoming harder every day. Sergeant Moon Ji-woo crouched in the darkness beneath City Hall, listening. Above him, he could hear the heavy footsteps of Draconian guards. 12 soldiers. Walking the same patrol route they walked every night. Ji-woo had been watching them for 3 days. He knew exactly when they changed shifts. He knew exactly which doors they used. He knew exactly how long it took them to respond to an alarm. Behind him, 11 other fighters waited in silence. They wore suits made from emergency blankets and pieces of old refrigerators. The foil blocked their body heat. The Draconians had thermal vision, but they could not see what they could not detect. Ji-woo raised his hand. His team could not speak. The Draconians had excellent hearing, so they had invented their own sign language. Simple gestures that meant attack, retreat, left, right, stop, go. He pointed upward. Then he made a fist dot, get ready dot above ground. Specialist Yoon Houn was doing her part. She had spent 7 hours crawling through air vents to reach the building's main power room. Her arms were bruised. Her back ached. But she was in position. She looked at her watch. 3:27 a.m. In 3 minutes, Ji-woo's team would attack Dot at 3:29 a.m. She cut the main power cable. City Hall went dark. The emergency generators kicked in immediately. But Nam Do-hyun had prepared for this. He had spent 4 days finding those generators and modifying their fuel supply. He had added a special compound that produced thick, white smoke when burned. Within seconds, the entire building was filled with blinding clouds. The Draconians roared in confusion. They could not see. They could not breathe. Their thermal vision was useless when everything around them was the same. Temperature. Ji-woo's team exploded from the floor. They had found an old maintenance tunnel that led directly into the building's basement. The Draconians did not know it existed. The humans came up through the floor like ghosts. Firing captured alien weapons at the shapes stumbling through the smoke. The battle lasted 11 minutes. When the smoke cleared, 43 Draconians were dead. Ji-woo had lost 2 of his soldiers. He mourned them, but he also knew that this was a victory. The survivors retreated deeper into the building. They were now trapped. They could not leave without being attacked. They could not call for help because Dr. Cho Yoonji had finally learned to block their communications. They could only wait and hope that reinforcements would arrive in time. But outside, the humans were preparing something bigger. Lieutenant Park Yuna had become the leader of the entire resistance. Not because she had asked for it, but because she was the one who kept everyone connected. She was the one who turned individual fighters into an army. She had established hidden command centers throughout the city. She had organized supply lines through the tunnels. She had created communication networks using old radios and stolen alien technology. And she had made a plan. "They are trapped," she told her commanders during a meeting in an abandoned subway station. 87 soldiers in one building. They cannot escape. They cannot communicate. They are waiting for rescue. Captain Ruhana nodded. "So we finish them before rescue arrives." "No," Yuna shook her head. "We wait. When the rescue ships come, they will have to land. They will have to lower their shields. And when they do, we strike." Corporal Shin Myra leaned forward. "You want to attack their ships?" "I want to destroy their ships." Yuna's eyes were cold, hard. "I want to make sure that not a single Draconian ever leaves this planet. I want their commanders in orbit to understand what happens when they invade Earth." The room was silent. This was a bigger plan than anything they had tried before. It was dangerous. It might fail. Many of them would die, but no one argued. They had all lost too much. They had all seen too much death. They wanted revenge. Yuna looked at each of them. "We have 2 weeks before their reinforcements arrive. 2 weeks to prepare. 2 weeks to build weapons, gather fighters, and turn this city into a trap." She stood up. "They came here thinking we were weak. They came here thinking we would surrender. They came here thinking they would conquer our world." Her voice grew louder. "But we are humans. We do not surrender. We do not give up. We fight until we win or until we are dead. And I promise you this. When those ships come to rescue their soldiers, we will show them what humans are truly capable of." The commanders left to prepare their forces. Outside, in the burning city, the remaining Draconians huddled in their fortress, waiting for salvation. They did not know that their salvation would never come. They did not know that in 2 weeks, the hunters would become the hunted. They did not know that Earth would be their grave. Fleet Commander Varax made a decision that had never been made in the history of the Draconian Empire. He ordered a retreat. The scouting force had been reduced to 31 soldiers. 31 out of 300. They were trapped in a single building, surrounded by enemies they could not see. Their supplies were almost gone. Their communications were blocked. They were going to die. Varax refused to let that happen. The Empire needed those soldiers. More importantly, the Empire needed to know what had happened. Someone had to survive to tell the story of what these humans could do. "Send dropships," he ordered his fleet. "Extract the survivors immediately. We will bombard the surface from orbit and return with a proper invasion force." The dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere on a cold morning. 3 ships. Enough to carry 31 soldiers and whatever equipment they could salvage. They flew low over the destroyed city, scanning for threats. They did not see any. The streets were empty. The buildings were silent. It looked like the humans had finally given up. The Draconian pilots relaxed. This would be a simple extraction. They did not know that Lieutenant Park Yuna had been waiting for this moment for 2 weeks. "All units," she broadcast on the frequency that Dr. Cho Yunji had stolen from the Draconians. "This is the moment. The ships are landing. Do not let a single one escape." Across Seoul, humans emerged from their hiding places. From subway tunnels. From collapsed buildings. From sewers and basements and rooftops. Thousands of them. Soldiers and civilians. Old and young. All of them armed. All of them ready. The first dropship landed in front of City Hall. The Draconian survivors rushed toward it, desperate to escape. They were so focused on the ship that they did not see the humans closing in around them. Corporal Shin Myra led the first attack. She had started this war with 17 bullets and a knife. Now she commanded 200 fighters armed with captured alien weapons. She gave the signal. The street erupted in fire. Myra's team struck from 3 directions at once. The Draconians were caught in the open, exposed. They tried to fight back, but there were too many humans, coming too fast. Green plasma bolts flew in every direction. Bodies fell. The second dropship tried to take off. It never got more than 50 meters off the ground. Private Beak June had spent 2 weeks building something special. A launcher made from construction equipment, firing rockets built from industrial chemicals. His first shot missed. His second shot hit the ship's engine. The dropship crashed into a building and exploded. The third ship made it higher. Its pilot was skilled and desperate. He flew between buildings, dodging rockets and gunfire. He almost escaped. But Corporal Shin Myra had one more surprise. She had captured a damaged Draconian shuttle 2 days ago. Nam Do-yin had repaired it. It could barely fly, but it could fly enough. Myra climbed aboard, ignoring the shouts of her team telling her to stop. She lifted off, chasing the escaping dropship. The Draconian pilot saw her coming and tried to accelerate. But Myra's shuttle was faster. She rammed her ship into the dropship's side. Both ships fell from the sky. Myra jumped at the last moment, crashing through the broken window of an office building. She hit the floor hard, rolled, and lay still. When she opened her eyes, Sergeant Moon Ji-woo was standing over her, grinning. "You're crazy," he said. "Did we get them all?" Myra asked. "We got them all." Outside, the battle was over. The 3 dropships were destroyed. The 31 Draconian survivors were dead. Not a single alien had escaped. Lieutenant Park Yuna walked through the ruins of City Hall, stepping over Draconian bodies. She felt tired. Tired in a way she had never felt before. But underneath the exhaustion, there was something else. Pride. They had done it. Humans. Soft, short-lived, primitive humans. They had defeated the Draconian scouting force. They had won. But Yuna knew this was not over. The Draconian fleet was still in orbit. They would send more soldiers, more ships, more weapons. She looked up at the sky. "Come and try again," she whispered. "We will be waiting." Fleet Commander Varax waited 3 days for his dropships to return. They never did. He sent signals to the ground force. No response. He scanned the city for life signs. He found only humans. His entire scouting force was gone. 300 soldiers, dead, killed by prey. Varax did not want to believe it. He sent another force. 5,000 soldiers this time. Heavy armor. Air support. Enough firepower to destroy any resistance. They landed in the same city as the first force. Varax never heard from them again. For 14 days, he tried to contact them. For 14 days, he received only silence. His sensors showed massive explosions across the city. His scouts reported strange broadcasts on human frequencies. Voices speaking in a language he did not understand. Laughing. The humans were laughing. On the 15th day, Varax received a transmission. It was not from his soldiers. It was from the humans. A woman's face appeared on his screen. She was dirty, scarred, exhausted, but her eyes were burning with something Varax had never seen him pray before. "This is Lieutenant Park Yuna of Earth," she said. "Your soldiers are dead. All of them. Every single one. We gave them the chance to surrender. They refused. So we killed them." Varax could not speak. "You invaded our planet," Yuna continued. "You burned our cities. You killed our people. You thought we were weak. You thought we would break. She leaned closer to the camera. You were wrong. We are humans. We have been fighting since before your empire existed. We have been killing each other for 10,000 years. And now we are going to kill you. She smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Run home, Commander. Tell your empire what happened here. Tell them about the planet that fought back. Tell them about the species that would not surrender. And tell them this. Her voice dropped to a whisper. If you ever come back, none of you will leave alive. The transmission ended. Thorax stared at the blank screen for a long time. Then he gave an order that would be remembered as the greatest humiliation in Draconian history. He turned his fleet around and went home. In the records of the Draconian Empire, Earth was marked with a single warning that would remain for 10,000 years. Do not invade. And on the blue planet below, in the ruins of a city called Seoul, Lieutenant Park Yuna watched the alien fleet disappear into the stars. Around her, humans were already rebuilding, already preparing, already planning, because they knew the Draconians might return someday. And when they did, humanity would be ready. They would always be ready. This was Earth, and Earth did not surrender, ever.